Well, greetings and salutations, test takers. This is Dean Tenney coming to you from my studio here in fabulous Las Vegas with an explication request, QID 1276478. We help you with any question. It's just easier if it's a Kaplan question. If you don't have a Kaplan Q Bank, I recommend it as a paid supplement. You can get 10% off with my Guru 10 discount code at checkout. For that commercial, Kaplan allows me to give you free looks at questions. This test taker got the following question and said, should they be able to eyeball the break max gain? Well, I don't think perhaps that, but you should be able to figure it out. The biggest thing you should recognize as a sales supervisor is that we have 50 calls there. And the disadvantage of the strategy when the customer writes these 50 calls is you don't participate past the strike price. So I would have been able to, from contract specifications and the position, look at this and say, okay, well, the client's agreed to sell the 200 shares in the account. I like that it's a covered call, not a naked call. But if we have some difficulty with this customer, it's going to be that they don't understand there's a ceiling at 50, and the stock's 60 or 70 or 80 or 90, it's going to get called away. So it's not so much can you come up with the max gain eyeballing it is to know the customer doesn't participate past the strike price. But the T always works. And this test taker said they were trying to set up the T. Here's the T. I would suggest that you do things on a per share basis. And then when you're all done, multiply. So in other words, I'm not going to put 9,600 in here. I'm not going to put 400 in here. I'm not going to put 800 in here. I'm going to do it per share. And then when I'm all done, just multiply by 2. That's easier if you do it that way. Now, the exception would be if I get some question where there's all kinds of odd numbers, like I'm doing 200 shares and 3 contracts, or 300 shares and 2 and contracts on the calls and 3 on the puts, then I'll probably do it that way. But I would tell you, you want to kind of eyeball the question once just to see how you're going to proceed. What is your attack plan? Is there a hack available perhaps? All right, so here we go. There's where I paid for the stock. Customer paid for the stock, 48 per share. We brought in 2 points for the 50 calls. We brought another 4 points for the put. So that's what I call the initial setup. The initial setup. Now the question says, what is the maximum gain? And that's the biggest thing, is we don't participate past the strike. You should know the 200 shares is the dominant position in this account. The shares, by the way, always dominate the option. So you should have been focused on the 200 shares and said, okay, that's where I should see what's going to happen here. So the max gain takes place when I get called away at 50. And remember, that was the test point. You don't participate past the strike. P.S. You could also just have muddled your way through this with the T and then shop the answer set. I'm not shopping the answer set because I know what answer I'm going to be looking for. But if you're struggling, you get the T setup and just plug in or try and figure out how they came up with the number. Anyways, that's the max gain. So now I simply net those. And so it looks like the max gain is 8 points on 200 shares or 2 contracts, however you want to do that. The max gain is 1,600. And again, the key takeaway as a sales supervisor or registered option principal is that when a customer writes a covered call, they do not participate past the strike. The gain is capped here at 50. I think there's a ceiling. All right. Well, remember, inch by inch, your Series 9 is a cinch, or your Series 4. I'll put this in the Series 4 playlist as well. And yard by yard, your Series 9 is hard. And I'll see you for the next explication. Bye-bye.